Okay. Hi, I am Tasha Potts. I work at JP Morgan, and I've been working at JP Morgan for around 6.5 years. I'm a business analyst there, and I work in wholesale credit risk technology on an AI ML, so a machine learning platform using public cloud. So today in this presentation, we're going to cover why technology is so important for young people and to understand the breadth of opportunities that exist within tech at the moment and in the tech sector, and how it's not typically for the nerds out there, and how myself, I am a technologist as well. So in this presentation, we will cover a breadth of industries. You'll be surprised at how many industries there are that need technologists, and in short, it's most of them, if not all of them. We'll then go on to transferable skills. It's not just about writing code. You'll hear from me, my day-to-day is not all about that. We'll learn about the skills for somebody who works in the tech industry and what they'll have. Then going on to the job market, all important. Where are my career prospects in technology? The breadth of roles that there are, so different types of things. You'll be surprised to hear about the amount of roles that there are in technology. The future, jobs that don't even exist yet, and hopefully your kids will be doing them. And then going on to the location, like we can go anywhere and work for anyone with a good understanding of technology. I'll then go over the routes into technology. How did I get into tech? How do you get into tech? And finally, we'll sum up. Moving on. So what type of industry needs technologists? Literally all of them. You can see here a number: medicine, automotive, etc. So I'm pretty sure that people out there don't know what kind of roles there are. So I'll give a couple of examples. Let's talk about finance. That's the area that I'm in at the moment. And there's lots of different roles in there. One, let's say cryptocurrency and blockchain. These are some of the examples of technology that we use in finance that helps to reduce fraud, keeping provenance data on blockchain. Other examples of finance include contactless, everything, all these things that you do in your day-to-day lives, like the bankers and tellers, they all have technology that have been created by technologists. The arts, the increase in software in the arts is massive. For music, art galleries, etc. It's allowed many to create albums at home using nothing more than their instruments and just a computer, and reducing like the cost of time in studio. Also, all these people need websites. What would we do without websites and the internet? Everything needs technology. And it's not just banking and investment, and it's not just gaming, etc. So there's many transferable skills that we can talk about. And in technology, it's so important that we teach all of these transferable skills and practice these on a day-to-day basis. Many of the skills that we learn are required in all industries and not just in technology. So it allows you to be completely transferable and sought after. Communication. This is the one that I am absolutely biggest on. It's required by all employers. The ability to communicate and articulate ideas successfully to your employees, your stakeholders, your team, your managers is a skill, and it is practiced and executed on a daily basis and highly sought after. Leadership. Not everyone will be a manager straight away, and not everyone should be a manager. They don't have to be a manager, but everyone should try and get leadership as a trait. It's something that we should all display in every sector. The potential to like motivate your team, your teammates, your other colleagues, it's so valuable and an asset to an employee and a manager. Teamwork. Being able to work in a team is so vital. I would not have managed 6 years at JP Morgan if I wasn't able to work in a team in the tech industry, especially. Being able to identify your team strengths and areas for areas for like delegates and development is massive. And communicating that effectively will put people in really good stead in any organization and any team, and it makes your team so much stronger. The good team will have people that have all different skills and leadership qualities, so that team is really massive. Problem solving. This is huge in technology, but it's huge again in any sector that we come across. So solving the daily problems and the requirements in the tech industry, trying to find a solution for a client, or carrying out analysis for the root cause of a problem in a production environment. It means that you need to have analytical thinking, and it's key for any sector. Commercial awareness. So I'm in technology, but I work with the business on a day-to-day basis, and I need to understand the business, and having big business acumen and understanding business is really, really large, and it's massive for the role that I currently do, which I'll go into a bit later. Finally, perseverance and motivation. So working life, especially at the moment in these times, can present massive challenges and hurdles. And having employees that are able to overcome these and not have to be waited on hand and foot, let's say, is difficult, and it's a key asset to any business in this time. The overall summary of this is that you don't just learn coding in technology, you learn all of these skills, which will move you forward in any career. The job market. So these stats were provided on Skills Development, from Skills Development Scotland. So Scotland is huge for technology, and Glasgow especially is buoyant. So it's estimated that in 2019, 13,000 jobs were available, with approximately 5,200 graduate roles in technology. Even if we factor into account alternative pipelines, therefore having tech skills will hold your children in really good stead and have a well-paid, stable career, which I'll go on to next. So these salaries are approximate, I want to say that, but kind of go through it. So there's multiple ways that you can get into technology, but one of those is a graduate apprentice program, and the approximate salary for that is around 21,000 per year, which is huge for someone that is entering out of school. Yes, they will get a degree along the way with a graduate apprentice program. A graduate after university is approximately around 33,000. And a senior software developer, I stress here, someone that's been in the technical world for around 10 to 15 years, will be earning around £80,000, with the average Scottish salary being around 29,200. So you can see here that these are, like, it is a really, really good place to be, and stands you in really good stead moving forward. So there's so many roles, and it's a massive misconception that working in the tech industry means that you write code and only write code. I don't. I wish I was a lot of the time, but there are many different job families within the tech industry. So you can go into user experience or user interface. This is really, I actually know quite a few user interface and user experience experts that did art at school or university, and they're ensuring that technical products look good and feel good for the user. There's nothing worse, like if you were on like a website like Amazon and you didn't have a good user experience, you wouldn't go back to it. It's the same with anywhere in technology. There's a Scrum Master. So like Scrum Master is responsible for ensuring that the team work in a way that adhere to like the Agile and the Scrum principles. This really moves a team along. If a team is working in an agile manner, they're continuously delivering and they're getting things out there. They have to do this. So the Scrum Master has to do this by teaching the theory and the practices and the rules for the tech team. And they really have to hold them to a standard so that they keep making sure that they are delivering to their business on a regular basis. That's just a couple of the roles that I've been through. There's big data, there's architects, there's project managers, and the variety of roles and skill sets is massive within this, and it will appeal to a diverse set of people. And I can only say that a diverse set of people brings a diverse team, which brings a great team. Diversity is so massive. And I just want to stress, it's not all about writing code. Writing code is really good and it's really cool, but there's so many roles in technology that you can get into. So, jobs of the future. So there's so many things, and hopefully your children will be doing these jobs in the future. And so I'll go through those. An avatar manager. It sounds far-fetched, doesn't it? It sounds really, really far-fetched. But combining art and technology, I said it in the last slide as well, an avatar manager's role is to design and build virtual holograms of people. Many bands and artists already have virtual holograms, but hopefully it will start becoming more. If we all work from home in the future, forever, maybe we can all have virtual holograms and we can be in one room. A blockchain engineer. So Bitcoin and currency, I went over that a few slides ago, but there's so much technology behind that digital currency. Blockchain is the core tech behind Bitcoin, which was massive a couple of years ago, and still is, to be totally honest, but it has the potential to be applied to everything from ID cards to trading platforms. But while the technology behind it is not necessarily difficult to understand, it's niche. At the moment, it's very niche, and finding good blockchain engineers is pretty tough, and it's difficult for most employers. So for those willing to put the time in and the energy in, is really, really good. The going down to like driverless car programmer, we are all getting there. I'd say I'd love to be able to not have to drive my car, but everyone's heard of them, and it might seem like in the realm of fantasy, but look at any picture of like a big New York City and see one of those modes of transport, like back in the early 20th century, it was horse and carriage, and then we moved on to cars, and then we'll start moving on to driverless cars. And this is at the forefront of the technology that these massive companies are working through at the moment. Location. So all of these industries require technologists. They are all over the world. It's not just in Scotland, it's not just in the UK, it is absolutely everywhere. So in my career, alone at JP Morgan, I have traveled all over. I've been to New York, London. A lot of my team members have been to Australia, they've been to Switzerland, and the ability to move is also massive with technology. Having that movement from Scotland to America, a lot of people I've seen do it. So it really gives a lot of travel as well, which is, I think, a massive draw to being in technology. So we've kind of discussed the different roles that you have and you can have, and why technology is so important and it's everywhere. But what are the routes that we can take into technology? So we can have apprentice school leavers. So there are multiple apprenticeship programs, and I'm sure that we can provide afterwards the resources into apprenticeship programs. But JP Morgan specifically does apply a graduate apprentice program, which is you can do your 4-year degree and going to university a couple of days a week, maybe 1 day a week, and working at the same time. I think this is truly a fantastic route into technology, and I wish that I had done it myself. There's college, you can do college courses and then apply into technology. University is very typical, a stereotypical one that you would expect. But there's also alternative pipelines. So it doesn't just have to be computer science that you do. That's fantastic if you do computer science, but it doesn't have to just be that. You could do maths, you could do engineering, you could even do art and design. As we discussed, we need those art and design for UX, UI experience. What I will say, so my route into technology was, I would say pretty standard, but my way of getting into the workplace was probably a little different than most would see. So I studied computer science at Strathclyde University a fair few years ago, and I loved it, but I also wasn't sure, like, oh, I don't know if I should be coding every day. I really love talking, I love chatting to people, what can I do? Now, when I was at my dissertation showcase, everybody had to show their dissertations to everybody, to all of the lecturers, sorry. And at that dissertation showcase, there was over 30 companies at the showcase, which is truly amazing. And I'm pretty sure that Glasgow University do something similar as well. And at that, I got somebody's card. And after I had graduated, I did have a job in the pipeline. I emailed and said, hi, I'm just wondering if you have any job roles open. And from there, I got interviews, and that's how I got into JP Morgan. So it wasn't your stereotypical spend ages applying on a website. It was a bit different. So in summary to everything that we've talked about, why would you not want your children to go into technology? They should. It's truly everywhere. They can work in any industry. They can work in like a high variety of roles. They have an opportunity to learn so many transferable skills. They can work in new, exciting industries, artificial intelligence. I currently work in machine learning, which is along those lines. And it's really amazing to be at the forefront of that cutting edge technology. And everyone can future-proof their careers, because we will always need technologists. You can see it in the supermarket. You go and pay for your shopping at a computer, essentially. So it definitely is something that is coming up and very coming for the future. So if your son or daughter says, I want to be an astronaut, tell them that's great. And why not on that journey to be an astronaut, learn to code, because when you can work in the space industry, you might as well be like putting satellites into space, say. Or if they say, I want to be in a band, again, tell them, great, why don't you learn to code, and you can create and fund your career by building websites for firms, or you could build your own website to really sell yourself as well. So that's everything I have today. I can open up for any questions if anybody has any. I can answer questions about anything I've talked about my career, or about anything really. And if you don't have any questions too, that's also okay. Oh, we do have one. Okay, so the question is, if you weren't working in a bank, where would you like to work, like a tech startup or a big company? Yeah, that's a really, really good question. If I wasn't working in a bank, I would actually love to work in the beauty industry. Not necessarily, not as a makeup artist or anything like that, but I would love to be working there. I think that the technology behind that is massive. You've got all of your like photo shoots, you've got everything going for you. You have like your magazines, So I think that's where I would like to be working. I did actually work at and the question also says, would you prefer to work at a big company or a tech startup? I also did work at a kind of tech startup at the very beginning of my career before I worked for JP Morgan. And that's where I did an internship there as well. I loved it. I think that there's pros and cons to working in a startup and a big company. And I did really, really enjoy it. The rate of development and the rate you could get to production was really, really fast. And I think that that's maybe a bit of a difference in startups. Another question is, do you feel some degrees are better than others in terms of options? I think that you are always going to have, like, computer science is a fantastic degree, and that really gives you a massive foundation to get into technology. But what I would say is that I don't think that there are some degrees that are better than others. I think a degree teaches you a lot of discipline and how to have some of those skills that I was talking about before. Some of the best technologists I have come across have been electrical engineers, mechanical engineers. They did those degrees. I actually know a couple of women, in fact, that did psychology degrees, and then they did a conversion to computer science. So I would say that in this day and age, and with the programs that these companies are producing, so JP Morgan does a graduate program that allows you to not have a computer science degree or technical degree, and you do like 6 to 8 weeks worth of coding before the graduate scheme starts, and I think it's truly fantastic. So although computer science is like a great degree to have, I have it, I think it has future-proofed me so much. I would say that any degree is useful as long as you have that due diligence and work on those transferable skills. Is there any other questions? Oh, sorry, we have another question. Do you think I should study machine learning at college? As I can say, I'm in the machine learning space. It is really cool. It's definitely up and coming. And I think any opportunity to study something like that is huge. And yes, I do think that you should study it if that's something that you're looking to get interest in. There's so many parts to it. There's the actual what else? There's the actual like coding of the models and the data science behind it. So not necessarily, so there's the like technology and there's the writing of the code. There's also so much mathematics that goes into a model, and also innovation that goes into a model as well. You need to think outside the box. You need to think back in history. Machine learning could, and people could build models that are not very diverse if we keep looking back at history. Here's an example. If you were building a recruitment website for technology, there's not, we're getting better at having women in technology, but if you were to build a machine learning model looking back at history, your model would keep suggesting men to come in because that's mostly what it's ever known. So we need to work on these models to make sure that they are diverse and they're not producing a really undiverse history of things. But I definitely think that you should study machine learning. It's a really good place to be in, and not just the data science aspect of it. I think that's really good, but deploying those models, you need to understand how you can get those models visible to someone in production. So that's big as well. And that I think that's all of the questions that there's been. If there's any more, then please reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn, and you can find me just via my name. And yeah. I think that's us, Matt, if you're okay. Okay, thanks very much, everybody. Have a lovely day.